Sounds great to me, right? But regardless, we're pushing on 500 on SoundCloud, 100 on Spotify, on YouTube. I think we're getting close to 50 or something like that. These are great numbers. Everybody's streams have diminished. The payola, the buying streams and stuff like that, a lot of that stuff is being done away with because artificial streams and stuff are being penalized by our distributors. The people who we release music with are starting to, people are buying streams. People are faking engagement. So whoever does that gets kicked off the platform. Their stuff gets demonetized. Their music gets taken off the platform. So now you're starting to see, so when you look at some of your faves maybe, because everybody was doing it that's at the major level, okay? So if you see some of your faves and you see some of their streams are not looking like how they used to, music video streams not looking like they used to, that's because what you're seeing is the real interest. So when we have 500 streams on SoundCloud, that's more than some major label artists are doing on SoundCloud, y'all. Some major label artists drop the single on SoundCloud and it takes months for it to get to 500. We did it in the first 2 weeks. Amazing. Okay? You know how much music gets released on Spotify? For us to be pushing on 100, there's thousands of songs that get released to Spotify every day, and some of them barely get one stream. We are pushing on 100. Amazing. So grateful. Is it the 1,000 that they're mandating? No, but that's with Spotify. That doesn't mean that that's what I'm getting excited for. That doesn't mean that that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of every single stream that comes through. I'm proud of every listener that challenges themselves and says, you know what? This is actually for me. I wasn't gonna listen, or I was being fed by the algorithm, and this is something that I was fed, and I like this shit. Or I'm going against the algorithm. I was recommended this, I was told I would like it, or I wasn't, and I fuck with it. And so I'm gonna continue to stream it. Thank you. Love your support. Love that. Really has been doing buku numbers compared to what I was thinking. I'm dropping this little down tempo IDM song. It's not finna do nothing, and I don't need it to do nothing because I believe in the song. Really cues you up for the sound that you're going to get on PXL. And it's a really good accompaniment to the other songs from Gemini and Flux that are going to be on the project along with the new songs. Like I don't know if I mentioned this way back. Pixel is going to have 13 songs on it. And about 8 of the songs, if I'm not mistaken, are new songs. And then the remainder are mixtures of songs from the first 2 EPs that are released in the previous 2 years, Flux and Gemini, as well as remastered or fully mastered versions of songs that I've released in 22, like You and Skins, to perfectly round out the story that I'm telling with the album. Y'all, I got so much shit on the way. Like Autismo said, it's amazing that somebody who was going through emotional trauma, an emotionally abusive relationship that ended in domestic violence is still working on a tour, a mini tour, a film, an album release with a merch attachment. Absolutely, I still am. It just kind of came together. I'm looking at this work that I have to complete and I'm like, that's a lot of work too. Absolutely, I think that's a lot of work too. But it's work that I just feel is intuitive. I operate off of intuition when I'm composing my projects. So all of these parts, this film, this mini tour, this zine, this merch, this audio, and this communication, all of this is intuitive. All this is stuff that I feel like adds to the value of the album and is going to add to your experience. And so that's why I do it. Regardless of what I'm going through, I made a promise and I made a commitment to my audience to continue to deliver what I know that I'm capable of and to even exceed my own capacities and my own expectations for what my vision can really sound like and look like, in this way. I set out to make Pixel a project that was going to capture in real time a hard experience for me. I said with Pixel, I'm not going to turn away from negative experiences. I'm going to put the negative experiences into the art. And I'm going to allow myself to be inspired by emotions that make me uncomfortable. Really, Pixel started out as, I'm going to be inspired. I'm going to make music when I'm mad. I'm going to make music when I'm scared. I'm going to make music when I'm mad. I'm going to make music when I have like a petty irritation, that is going to resolve in an hour. I'm going to make music when I have an irritation that takes days to get over. Pixel is made from discomfort. Pixel is made from getting emotions out that I usually try to pretty up or that I usually try to hide away from. I said, I'm not going to hide away from these difficult emotions that I'm going through at the end of this relationship. I'm going to capture them in musical form. I'm going to capture them in visual art form, and I'm going to represent it to my audience in a way that I know that they're going to digest and be transformed by. And that's what PXL is about. Okay? Absolutely. And while I'm here, I do want to shout out. I want to shout out by name some of the playlists that I've been included in. Whenever my email client must. Here we go. Matthew Daniels. Okay, Matthew Peter Daniels. What is their playlist? My gosh, y'all. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna shout them out in the description. Just know that really got added to about 5 really well curated, well crafted playlists that just really help to push me in the algorithm to listeners like hopefully you that are really kind of fans of the sound that I do, really fans of this experimental approach that I take to electronic music, which is what my vision is all about. It's about challenging the expectations that come with electronic music can still be experimental while being accessible. You can have, it's all about duality with my music. Gemini, which literally references, twins and duality, is a reference to my conceptualization there, but really my music is all about taking contrasts, taking things that you don't expect to go together and pairing them together. So I'm pairing beautiful electronic music with traumatic life experiences. I'm pairing the beauty of the human experience with the ugly of it. I'm pairing light and dark, trauma and comfort, healing and trauma. I'm finding all these dualities and I'm not hiding from the ugly parts of them. I'm not trying to beauty them up. I'm putting them into the art and I'm presenting it to you saying, don't you feel like this? Doesn't this feel like when you feel like this and this at the same time? Doesn't this feel like when you feel high and low at the same time and shit is not gonna reconcile? Look at where we're at as a country, United States, if you are an American. If you're not even an American, look at where we're at as a world. All of us are experiencing light and dark in various ways, in high ways and low ways. And I think this music, this album, PXL, is a really good encapsulation of that. At least my perspective on how you manage such light and darkness in life. So, comedic relief. I busted my ass on my scooter this week, y'all. Here we go. I'm about to get up. All right. Here go my ankle. Y'all see my ankle? I got the Band-Aid. I have a boo-boo. I made a boo-boo. So what happened? I was scootering and I'm just like, okay. It was like 7:55, something like that. And I'm like, I could just go down the street and go back home, or I could take a few extra minutes and go down the street with a really steep incline to see how fast this scooter can go. So I did that instead. When I got to the bottom, I failed to realize that the gravel was uneven. Y'all know how asphalt get, all craggly, spaces in it and stuff. The wheel went over that. Scooter went that way, I went that way. Ankle first, okay? Gravity reminded me she's real and she's present, okay? So I want to thank cannabis for helping me heal from that. And I also want to thank the wine mixed with margarita that I had that got me to sleep that night. Because sleeping on my right side, sleeping in anything touching that, burns like a bitch. Friction burn, hurts like a bitch, y'all. You already know. All right, now closing.